Got the 122, 121, don't know what the difference between the two variants was, but it's the Dapol DMU. As seen in a previous video, we're going to run that again because I don't think I ran it on second radius, so I'm just going to check that again and run it for a bit longer, as some people have had issues. Although, touch wood, that one's been okay. Previously in a video was another class 37 and a sound fitted one there, but since then we have had the return of the Deltic. I also picked up a 2-car DMU which is DCC fitted, although I don't know whether it's been reset to 03 or what, so it could be a guessing game as to what the code, well obviously I can read the code and see what it is, but obviously there's one in each car. And we picked up a brand new class 25 with sound, and another Norfolk and Southern SD70. Well, another Norfolk and Southern. We haven't got an SD70 I don't think, not an M anyway. So, a little running session and testing, and we've got some 00 freight. I haven't got any US freight available to test the Genesis, but again it's another one where someone's bought it brand new. I don't think it's even been on track, I'm not sure. I think it was that one or the 25. Still got the oil on the wheels, it's never been on the rails. So I've got to clear the decks there to try the 121, which is DC, that's DC, then we'll re-rig for all the DCC running games. And hopefully the Kira scale have done more than just glued the window back in. Well, it's been running for, I don't know, 20 minutes. In both directions at mid speed. It did it when I first put it on the track. You could hear a little sort of chafing noise as if a gear is touching something, but that goes after you sort of get it on track. So whether it's just the way the power bogey sits, I don't know, but it seems to be working okay at the minute. It did stall a few times, but I think that's down to that power pickup point down there, because I wiggled that about and it started again and it stalled up here, so I think it's more to do with track continuity. But yeah, slow speed running seems to be okay. It's negotiated these turns. I can see where someone said there is a little bit where the box at the back catches this detail here. Let's just stop it. It's on the opposite side, but that rubs against the box on the other side, which literally you could just, probably 2 or 3 swipes with a file would take it off. You haven't got to do it this side where it's be seen. You can do it on the under gubbins of whatever it is underneath. That box there, that just comes across. If I cure it there like that, but it seems to be more of a problem if you're trying to demonstrate it off track. When it's on track it doesn't seem to do it. It doesn't do it where you hear it or feel it, any resistance against the track. It is a little bit tight around some of the curves, but everything I have has some point where it will slow down on a curve, because obviously the wheels are binding against the inside of the track. But that's about as slow as I can get this controller before the power goes off. and it seems to be behaving itself. I don't know whether it's designed for first radius curves, but I don't fancy moving all of that a lot off to find out. It's probably not going to have that issue. It would only be going over a set track point where you might encounter that radius. I don't know in the paperwork whether it states most locos will only go down to 2, but they might manage 1. But they'll usually say 2 or third radius. But, it seems to be okay at the minute. So I haven't looked at what chip to put in it. I have got some Lays ones, but I don't know whether they'll cover the lighting. Because obviously at the minute on DC, I think there are some switches inside rather than like the Bachmans where they're on the tank underneath. There's a couple of dill switches I think on the circuit board underneath the seating area. I've got some of those cheap and nasty Chinese people that will probably have their legs amputated and be glued into the seating to give it some bodies in it, but so yeah, it still seems to be behaving itself, so let's try the 37. So this was the one where they gave me an offer and then I countered their offer because there's a few little marks on the bodywork. Bits and pieces up here, just looks like it might probably clean off. Strange pattern there, but a little bit of weathering. It's been detailed one end. Number one end has got the plough. Doesn't have all the pipe work, I don't think. And the 3-link coupling's been fitted at that end as well, which I believe would probably get in the way of the coupling, so I've just pushed it up out the way so it doesn't foul it going round the bends. But obviously we are sort of ring mark round there. We are on DC with this one. I don't think it's chipped. It never came advertised as chipped, so I'm assuming it isn't. So we will just flick the switch. Obviously it slowed the DMU down now because the power is being split between them. So I just switched the DMU off for a minute and try the 37. It seems to be working fine in that direction. It's nice and smooth. Looking at the wheels, it doesn't look like it's done a huge amount of work. It's making all the right noises and none of the wrong noises, so I know sometimes the towers can play out, but I think that was on the earlier variants. This is the later one with the sprung buffer chassis. So, seems okay. Okay, turn it round the other way and try it with some stock. Well, looks like the tankers want to do their own thing the minute they get dragged over these turnouts. It all goes to pot. Quite how they managed to go in that direction, I do not know. Unless we had buffer lock or something, with these having those shorter couplings. But it didn't like either of them. It done the same when I was pulling it off that rig, although it did have these attached to it as well. with the weight of all of them it did pull off at that corner, but it also went on these turnouts, so it could be a combination of something to look at with these having those little couplings screwed on them. Could have caused a little bit too close. Well, after a little bit of an issue there at that point, the buffers seemed to clear one another as I was watching them snake through the turnouts. Unless it was a little bit of coupling lock, or the gap between the spacing of the rails on them old Hornby points. Who knows? But I checked it there. I stood over there in case we have a catastrophe and we end up in the valley of death down here, which I do not want. I've thought about putting a suicide fence along there, but then it just gets in the way when I want to move the board and stick it over there out of the way. So fingers crossed we don't have a mishap. It seems to be okay. I will check in a little while just to make sure both bogies are powered and no one's pulled the prop shaft out, and we're only got drive to one set of wheel trucks, because you never know, people might just do enough to get them going and then sell them, and a bit like buying a used car.